Story time.
There was a boy who lived with his mother. The boy's mother only had one eye. Following the parents' divorce, the two lived in poverty. The mother used to work tirelessly from morning until night, earning a living through various jobs, from cleaning dirty sidewalks to preparing food for small canteens. She did everything she could to help her son. There were days where she would go without food just to save enough money for her son's daily lunch. When the boy was a toddler, they would spend the entire day laughing, talking, and playing together. But it wasn't long before things began to change. The day came when the boy had to start going to school. The mother noticed that her son's attitude towards her was gradually changing. She would frequently accompany her son to and from school. However, one day, a group of school children began to bully and mock the young boy because of his mother's unusual appearance. The boy grew increasingly dissatisfied with his circumstances. He began to despise his mother and saw her as an embarrassment to him. That day, he returned home and confronted his mother, filled with rage and not rationally thinking. He said, "If all you're going to do is make them laugh at me at school, why don't you just die?" But the mother didn't lash out in response and continued her work. Unbeknownst to the young boy, when he would fall asleep, she would spend the entire night crying from his hurtful words. The boy walked to school alone from that day onwards. Years later, he would start making plans, getting out of the house, and having nothing to do with his mother. As a result, he worked very hard and was offered a scholarship in the big city. Without a second thought, he immediately left town and left his mother. The boy grew up to be a handsome young man. He was offered a job with a nice salary at a well-known corporation, and eventually, he even got married and had 2 children. The poor boy, who was once ridiculed and bullied for his circumstances, was now a happy and satisfied man with his life and the comfort of his new family. However, his mother was lonely and still poor, but she never blamed her son. In fact, she was happy for her child. It wasn't long before she learned from someone that she had become a grandmother. She gathered remnants of her funds to visit her son's home and see her grandchildren. When the mother arrived, she was in tears. She hadn't seen her son in quite some time. When she stood by her son's door, she was delighted to see that her grandchildren were the ones to open the door. But as soon as they saw her, they immediately ran away.
"Papa!"
Screamed the young daughter.
"There's a monster at the door!"
The son couldn't believe it. He was not expecting his mother to visit him. He didn't want anything to do with her anymore. "How dare you come and scare my children away? I don't know who you are. Go away or I'll call the cops." "I'm so sorry. I must have gotten the wrong address," the mother replied. It was the last and final time the two had crossed paths. A few years later, a letter regarding a school reunion came to the young man's house. Having nothing else to do, he set a schedule for this event and returned back to his hometown. Following the reunion, the man returned to his former home, an old shack. He was surprised when he met an unfamiliar face greeting him by the door. The neighbors then informed him that his mother had died a few years before. The neighbor then remembered. "Oh, by the way, before your mother passed, she left me a letter for you, just in case you ever came back home," the neighbor said. And before he could leave, the neighbor handed him a letter. The letter read, "My beloved son, I might not be part of this world by the time you read this, but I just want to let you know that I think about you all the time. I'm sorry that I visited your place and scared your children. I'm sorry that I was a constant embarrassment to you. I understand how difficult it must have been to live with someone like me. I missed you so much. You see, when you were little, you got into an accident and lost your eye. As a mother, I couldn't stand watching you having to grow up with one eye, so I gave you one of mine. You saw the world through my eye all this time. You mean the world to me, my dear son. I will love you always. Your mother." The boy was unable to control his emotions and cried for several days following the incident. but it was too late now. However, he learned a valuable lesson: to treat your parents with loving care. You will never know their value until you see their empty chair. Thanks for watching this video. If you love your mother, drop a 100 at the comments section. Thank you.